When it comes to Christopher Nolan films, I have three categories for him. Exceptional films, which include The Dark Knight.
I'm gonna make this pencil disappear.
Memento and Inception.
You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
Then I got his impressive films, which is The Prestige, Tenet. And finally, I got his decent films in Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, Dunkirk, and now Oppenheimer. Unfortunately, I haven't seen Following or Insomnia yet. I've been holding off on Insomnia for decades now. I'm sure it's maybe 20 years old. I'll save them for a rainy day. Now that I've seen Oppenheimer, I can tell you it's a biographical 3-hour slog about Robert J Oppenheimer, who is a theoretical physicist performed by Cillian Murphy. Now this guy is a quality actor. He's been in some absolute gems. I mean, okay, yeah, Inception, 28 Days Later, and he does a great job in Oppenheimer. I'm not taking that away from him. Sorry, anyway, we follow his story through two perspectives. One through an interrogation that Oppenheimer has to endure after the nuclear bomb killed almost 200,000 humans in Japan. And the next story running through the movie is where we follow a paranoid Louis Strauss. It looks like Strauss, but it's pronounced Straws, who is portrayed by the impressive Robert Downey Jr.
Iron Man.
Need I say more? He's in a court case that has the twist that comes later on in the film. I call it a twist. It's not really a twist.
The book is called American Prometheus, and he said, I'm calling the movie Oppenheimer because the movie's going to live and die with this performance. And so it was all about finding a cast that could be in support of that. I think Iron Man just walked in.
Luckily for me and my cinematic viewing, the film incorporated subtitles, and it was much needed, as Nolan likes to play loud music or background sounds to drown out the spoken dialogue. This wasn't as bad as Tenet or Dark Knight Rises, but maybe that's because I was watching the film with subtitles. But I thought the film was okay. It was a little bit long for a film that involves a lot of dialogue that isn't really engaging enough to keep me on the edge of my seat. The script was weak at some points in my opinion, but some of the actors put on really good performances, namely Emily Blunt, who plays the wife of
Bobby!
There were so many colours and layers to sort of play with her. I mean, clearly this film has this sort of enigmatic, mercurial central performance by Cillian, who's mesmerising in it, and we were just these big personalities to sort of bring out different parts of this character, you know.
And Florence Pugh, she's just great in average movies. Like Don't Worry Darling, she's like the best thing going in Black Widow, that massacre of a movie. Ugh.
The best thing about Jean was that she has an unbelievable intelligence. She is unbelievably bold for her young age, and she managed to turn the head of one of the most intelligent minds in history. So there's obviously something pretty sparky about her.
The film is loud. Bringing in some ear defenders for this would be a good idea. The explosions are quite loud, like the music's quite loud. Chris Nolan usually chooses Hans Zimmer to be the man who creates a score for his film. However, this time we got Ludwig Göransson. Yeah, his work in this was poop. It definitely kind of took me out of the film, and I really did lose interest.
I'm very excited to be in New York and excited to see this in IMAX, on the screening. I'm super pumped.
Chris Nolan has now got to a point where he's almost untouchable because of his exceptional back catalogue of movies. But he's also very polarizing as a director. And some people don't like the way he writes. People find, his dialogue boring, contrived. His characters are always on the melancholy side. No one's ever happy. They're always just depressed and sad. I mean, that ticks boxes for me.
Oh, overwhelmed, yeah, and completely overwhelmed, blown away, kind of winded, which is how I like to be after a movie,
But with this one, again, I'd probably say it's polarizing. I could see a lot of people really, really enjoying this film I don't know. But I can also understand that there'd be a lot of people who dislike it because it doesn't really go anywhere. Considering it's 3 hours long, they could have easily had this as a documentary instead. For me, it's nowhere near his best, but the hard work and sheer dedication to telling the right story, you gotta appreciate that. And even though I kind of wish I saw this in IMAX, it's just not good enough to take over all IMAX screenings over Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which had more action scenes. Honestly, really should be seen on the biggest screen possible, and only get 9 days of IMAX for Mission Impossible 7. I don't know, I feel it's a bit unjust in a way. Financially though, being released on the same day as Barbie seemed to really help both films. If more studios could organize events like Barbenheimer, then it's only win-win for everyone involved. Like, cinema is back, baby.